Hi there, welcome back to my channel, Learn As I Do, the place where I share everything that I'm learning how to do with you in easy, clear and honest instructional videos. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel if you would. It not only helps me to grow, but means you don't miss out on my latest tutorial, life hack or useful lesson. Today I'll be taking you through how to bleed a radiator. Something that everyone ought to know how to do to keep the heating in your home or place of work running effectively and efficiently. It might sound difficult, but it couldn't be easier. Just follow the simple steps coming up and you'll soon have your radiators in perfect working order. So with all that out the way, let's crack on. So the reason to bleed a radiator is to release any air that might be trapped in your radiator or heating system. Ideally, the heating loop should contain only water and no pockets of air, as this is how the heat is transferred most effectively. Now, air can get into your system in a number of ways. When adding or changing a radiator, for example, you can introduce air as you'd have open pipework. But the most common reason is that micro pockets of air actually exist in water entering your heating system. Over time, these can join together to form larger bubbles, and eventually substantial pockets of air can build, particularly in your radiators. And every so often, these need to be released by bleeding your radiator. Okay, so the next big question you might be asking is, when do I need to bleed my radiators? And there are two main answers to that question. Firstly, if you can feel cold areas on your radiator when it's switched on, then this could be a sign that air has made its way into your system. The cold area tends to be found at the top of your radiator, where the air is sitting, with the bottom remaining warm where the water is. Secondly, if you start to hear loud gurgling noises from a radiator, then that's also a sign that it requires bleeding. The air is not necessarily sitting in one pocket in this case, but is moving through the system in smaller pockets, causing the noises. In both cases, it's time to release that air. Now, a couple of quick things to do before we start. Please make sure the pressure in your boiler is in the normal working zone. For most boilers, this is between 1 and 2.5 bar and is usually shown by a green zone on your pressure gauge. I'll leave a link in the description below with my video on how to top up boiler pressure if required. Secondly, make sure your heating is turned off and ideally leave it to cool down if you're just turning it off. As you'll soon see, you'll know the air's been released when the water starts to come out of the bleed hole, so we don't want any really hot water in the system that might burn. The only tools required for this job is a radiator bleed key like you can see here. I seem to have quite a few kicking about, but they're nice and cheap if you don't have one. You can pick one up from any hardware store. You can actually use a flat-headed screwdriver, but I find you get much better purchase with a proper bleed key. The only other thing you'll need is an old rag to catch any drips of water. You'll find the bleed point on one side of your radiator, at the top. You can see the small bleed hole here where the air will escape from. Insert your bleed key into the radiator and turn anti-clockwise until you start to hear the hiss of air. Keep it open until the water starts to drip out, then tighten it back up. And that's it, easy as that. It's very important now to check your boiler pressure. As we've released some of the pressure, it may need a small top up. Thanks as always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.